right? And it's not about failing and giving up. It's failing so you know and learn from what you just did to get better on the
Yes.
next one.
Like I always say, whether you're chasing a big dream or you're navigating a challenging season in your life, or you're simply just looking for that spark to keep moving forward, this is your space to refuel and to rise. Every episode, I like to sit down with extraordinary individuals, all walks of life, entrepreneurs, artists, thought leaders, everyday heroes, to explore their journeys and their lessons learned and the tools that they use to stay driven. So here you're going to find actionable items, uplifting stories, and the motivation that I hope you need to take action and have confidence. So, if you're ready to elevate your mind, overcome those obstacles, and discover your true potential, you are in the right place. So, let's dive into today's conversation and fuel that fire within. Guys, I am so pumped up on today's episode of Keeping It 100. I've got my good buddy Keola. He's on the show today, and I could not be more excited. Keola, thank you for being here with me.
Oh, well, Tracy, thank you for having me on Keeping It 100. Super pumped and very grateful to be on your
Oh,
podcast with you.
well, thank you. So, Keola, we met through Pace's multiple communities, through his Gator community, which focuses on funding, through his Sub 2 community, and we're also part of a smaller community called Owners Club. And when I first met Keola, you were quite a helper. You helped me on so many little projects, and we just started to build a relationship. We both have Hawaii in our life, and it's been really cool to watch your progress because I think when you get involved in real estate, as we know, there's so many things, right? And a lot of times we're working on different projects. So I've seen you grow, and I love right now you are primarily focused on transactional lending. And so in today's episode, I really want to learn about your journey and sort of that pivoting, right? Because I always say to people in real estate, you have to learn how to pivot gracefully because there's a lot of pivoting, whether it's in a transaction or just in your growth within real estate. So I really want to talk about that, but also more importantly, through that journey, how you kept taking action, because as we know, it's all about taking action, that consistency. So without further ado, I will stop talking. And I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about your journey. Maybe you want to start a little bit about what even got you involved in real estate, because you had, and I will stop talking. Keola had a really amazing career as a small business owner already in his life before real estate. This is not your first, your first go at it.
Yeah, well, Tracy, thank you again. So kind of going back, right? So prior to learning anything about real estate, I was in the fitness space for about 25 years. And
Such a long time.
yeah, and worked every level up, right? Like for me, I really like learning from the basics, like learning the nuts and bolts of everything,
Mhm.
from opening the gym to cleaning the gym to racking the weights to checking people in, you name it. I worked every level within the company and was able to just work my way up, right? Work my way up by just finding people that were doing great things, learning from them, and putting in the effort. And
I
so
can
over the years,
hear
I helped, yeah. So over the years, I helped this company grow from when I joined them, we had 3 locations. When I exited about 2 years ago, I exited at 55 locations through 8 states.
that.
And
Wow.
so,
Did not know that. That's
yeah.
massive.
And so I was their senior VP of operations. So I flew all over the country, helping teams get started, training on sales. Everything ran through me in regards of everything operational based. And when I left, we had a company that had about 3,800 employees. And so it was a pretty big thing. Loved it. Absolutely enjoyed what I did. But I had to pivot. And one of the main reasons why I pivoted was twofold. Number one, we were at a place in the company where we were growing and growing and growing. And being a part of that growth was phenomenal. But at the same time, with every phase of growth came new challenges. And I
Mhm.
realized, like, man, like I, I'm not sure if I'm enjoying working in this space this big and quote unquote corporatizing our company.
Right.
And so things were a little bit challenging for me there on just being able to navigate being a smaller business operator to now being this massive location and clubs that had
Right.
very much so corporatized its operation. And so that was one thing that was kind of weighing heavily on my mind. At the same point in life, my wife tapped me on the shoulder and she said, "Hey, listen, uh, our oldest at the time was a junior. We were going into a senior year." And she basically said, "What are we going to do? You got a year left with him, and then he's out of the house. You've been traveling, living out of hotels and airplanes for the last 8 to 9 years. Literally every week I was gone."
Wow.
And so, the power of a strong woman, that, like, say, "Hey,
We're
something's
done.
got to change."
Yeah.
Right. And so we sat down, we had a great family council. We talked about it, said, "Hey, here's where we're at, here's what we're doing." And we decided at that time, my wife and I, that, you know what? There are some things more important in life than just having the great job, the great money, and all those things.
Right.
And so we're like, "Okay, let's do this." So I went to my board of directors, submitted an exit plan,
Ooh.
went through it, and they're like, "Okay, can we talk you out of it? Can we do anything?" Like, "No, this is the direction I want to go."
Yeah.
Less than 45 days later, I was done.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I don't know that we talked specifically about that piece. We both, Kayla and I both have kiddos that are seniors in high school. And similarly, it's why I got into real estate investing as well. I was an educator for my whole career. And you would think I'd get to see my kid all the time because I'm teaching and we're on a similar schedule. The teacher, you're at the school, till 5, 6 o'clock at night, you're working on the weekends. And I wanted that freedom. And this year, actually, as she went into her senior year, I said to myself, you know what? I am not spending her senior year on Zooms. I'm not. And one of my favorite times of day is when she's getting ready for school. Because she's kind of captive. Because where is she? She's a teenager. She's in the bathroom getting ready. And I was just talking to our friend Michael Manatsakani and this morning actually about that because he's got a little baby. And I said, it is some of my most special time. I will never forget these mornings. So I do not actually start work until 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is really late on the East Coast where a lot of my partners are. It is a non-negotiable. I spend my mornings, I make tea, I make breakfast for her, we hang out, we chit chat. I love that you saw that too. And I think for people watching, it goes by so quick and we know that, but it's hard to get off the treadmill, right? And I thought, I'm just going to give this a try. And if the real estate thing doesn't work, big deal. Go back to teaching, but at least you've got a couple years with your kid before she's gone. So, but it is working. Look at us go.
Yeah,
So, did you know you were going to get into real estate?
I didn't know at that time, right? Like, it's so funny, like, just to kind of give my wife the kudos she deserves. First off, she puts up with me and she said yes. Like, that in of itself is a big thing. But
Yeah,
what happened is once I exited my company, the word went out in the fitness industry and I got all these offers just coming.
of course you did.
"Come work
Right,
here, come work there, come work for me, come work here." And so I'm like thinking, okay, I'm going to be a provider. I'm going to jump on these calls, going to start taking these interviews, and we're going to
right,
chat. And
right.
about 2 weeks of just lining up all these calls every single day, she pulls me aside. She's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, what do you mean? I'm looking for the next job." She's like, "All right, time out. You just left a company you absolutely love, doing what you absolutely love, doing all these things. And now you're going to do the exact same thing at a new company. You don't even know them and you're going to be traveling again. What are you doing?"
Right, right. Oh my gosh, I love her. I haven't met her. I cannot
Gotcha.
wait to meet your wife. I cannot, because she's got to be the coolest lady ever.
Yeah. And so she set me straight. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm falling right back into the trap. I'm getting right back to the rat race. I'm jumping right back on the treadmill at the same speed, same incline, and
Oops, you froze
all those
there. Let's see.
challenges that come with it, right?"
That section real quick.
Yeah. So
Oh, I wonder if it's me. You keep freezing. Darn it.
I can hear you, Tracy. Can you hear me?
I wonder if you can, I cannot hear you.
I can hear you now.
Okay, I couldn't hear you for a minute there. Okay, can you go back to just the start of this section where you were just you we got to where you were talking about um how your wife was like, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, what am I doing?"
Yeah. And so my wife basically said, like, what are you doing? You're jumping back in, you're jumping back into the rat race, you're jumping back on the treadmill, same speed,
Right.
same incline, when
Sheesh.
where we said we're gonna pivot. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. What am I doing? And in this transition, right, this point, I was in no rush, right? Like I had just exited, I just cashed out some of my shares. I just had this, this capital come to me. I was like, okay, well, what else can I do?
Right.
And a friend of mine at that point, he was involved in Pace Morby community. And so he said, hey, you should check this out
Yeah.
because you've got capital to deploy. I know you want to get in real estate.
Yep.
Check out this video. I'll send it to you. And so I was sent Pace's Gator method video.
Love it. Love it.
And like so many others, right? Like a bug to the light, I was just
Oh yeah.
caught.
Yeah.
And it went from one video to the next, down the rabbit hole I went,
Yeah.
head
Been there, done
first,
that.
head first, and and just kind of kudos to Pace, right? Like and creating that content and providing an opportunity for others to get started
Yeah.
that seemed very easy to do, right? So
Yeah.
taking the next step to get unstuck, for me, it was, oh, here's another opportunity. Let me learn it. I don't know anything about it, but
Yeah.
let me jump in.
Yeah. Will you yeah, I want you to pause there. I want to go back to something you said that I think is so valuable for other men to hear. And you just said it briefly. You had this mindset of I'm a provider. So you left this career. I imagine that career was probably a big piece of the income in the home and the how you supported the family.
Mhm.
So now you step back. Of course, you go right into I'm a provider, I'm a provider, I got to get a job. How did you had to change your mindset. There's no way that you couldn't have not worked on changing your mindset to get to a place where you said, "Oh, okay, I'm just gonna be cool with not earning money for a little bit so I could do something new." Am I right?
Well, yeah, kind
A
of.
little
Like,
bit.
yes, you're right. There had to be a huge mindset shift, right? But at the same time, my personality is one that we're 100 or we're nothing for the
Yeah, 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 for sure. Right, right.
and so just something else like so I've got a lot of other things going. So at that time, we're just entering the summer, and my son has his own business that he runs now
Yeah,
going on 5 years, very successful.
yeah,
And so my pivot came in, okay, I'm gonna look at this with Pace and Gator,
yep.
but this is right in front of me. I'm going to lean in and ensure that we get things really, really structured well for his business and step in
Wow.
for the summer and just do a ton of sales with his popsicle business. So I really, okay, we're going to double what we make here this summer and gives me a little bit more space to learn and a little bit more space to do all these other things.
I
So there
love
was
that.
still that sense of, I still got to do something. We still got to get other
Yeah,
things going.
yeah. That's so cool. I love how you had that, really, you just had that realization. I think that's a hard thing. And that's sort of how I felt with my daughter. I thought, well, the more space I have and the freedom I have, I can support her in these last 2 years of high school. She's a very really smart kiddo and very productive and works super hard, and she's just pushes herself. And I thought, okay, at a bare minimum, right? No matter what else happens, I at least know I've got this space to just support her and be there for her. I love that you were able to just pivot on that. That's amazing.
And just lean into
Okay.
that, right, Tracy? The things that were able to happen this past year that never happened before is I never was able to walk any of my kids to school. And now my youngest, I can walk him to school, right? Like the first day I did that, that was like such a big deal to me, like something I really took for granted,
I
right?
would have
Like,
been crying the whole way.
yeah. And yeah, are there other things you want to do? Sure. But for me, because I
Yeah,
missed out, this is something that was very important to me, right?
yeah.
Being
So
able to say,
special.
hey, yeah, I can go to your practice. Yeah, I can pick you up from here and just kind of reset my calendar to those non-negotiables you mentioned that allow me to still do that and still operate and run a business.
Yeah, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spent the summer, you're learning about Gator, which is lending within the real estate, private money lending, learning about private money partnerships, transactional lending. So you're learning about all these things. You're helping your son grow and solidify his business. And then what? Fall comes and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I
So,
highly doubt that.
yeah. So I'll share two big things for you that I think are important for this podcast when we talk about keeping it 100. Right? When I first stepped into the real estate space and was learning and watching all these videos, I dove in, right? But for me, diving in was I'm going to consume all the content. I'm going to learn as much as I can. I just felt like I needed to get my hands dirty with education
Yes.
first. And so I did that for weeks, like just
Yeah.
watching as many videos, jumping on many lives, connect with as many, like I wasn't connecting with anybody. I was just watching and jumping on all these videos,
Right.
consuming.
Love
And there's
it.
one day where Pace was like, hey, if all you're doing is watching videos and not
Mm,
taking action, you're wasting your time. You're not going to be successful.
that's right.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was in a role where my whole job was to get people to take action and operate and drive performance. And here I was just sitting on the sidelines
Isn't that crazy?
and not in the game. And
Wow.
and I gave myself all these excuses.
Of
Like, well,
course.
I don't know enough. I don't know anything. I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know this. I don't know that. All these excuses kept coming up, and I was like, "Oh, I've got to get off the sidelines and get in the game."
Yeah.
And so I started to take action by going to a meetup, by actually scheduling calls, and and as I started doing all those things, I realized that there were so many people willing to help me and help me on my journey. And
Right.
so I started doing deals and going after deals because I had the support of others around me.
Right.
And so like as I share that, a story comes to mind. My middle son, he's 15. He just turned 15. And in Utah, that's the age you can drive.
Right. 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 Oh my gosh.
Right. And so careful all the cars out there on the roads today. But
Yeah. Yeah. Watch out.
watch out. But like last month, he comes to me, he's like, hey dad, I'm about to drive. I need to go driving. Right. And I was like, well, have you read all the books you can about the rules, right, to go take your driver's test?
Ah,
Like,
yes.
like watch videos about driving. And so here I am telling my son, watch the video, read the books, do all these
Right.
things, right? Which is good,
Well,
right?
yeah. 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 Right. Right. Of
Which is
course.
good.
Got to do that too.
But he actually can't learn how to drive until he gets behind
And drives.
the driver's seat
Yeah.
and turns on the car and puts
Yeah.
it in drive. And so I share that because I was in that same space. I was watching all the videos. I was reading all the books. I was putting myself in the space. I could see other people doing it, but
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it myself.
Right.
And so just keeping it 100, you don't know until you start doing it.
That's
And
right.
you'll never know everything until you
Right.
start taking action and start applying yourself. We don't have an issue with education. We have an issue with application.
Agreed. It's such a great topic that you bring up because this is very, very common. So if people that are watching this, they're resonating with that, don't beat yourself up over it. You're not alone. I think there's a piece of all of us that kind of can get stuck there, right? And I think it's just a matter of at what point does somebody kick you in the booty and go, "What are you doing?" Or it clicks on a Zoom or something. Because this is scary, right? Starting a business, whether no matter what business, real estate or not, you have to have 100 and 199.9% faith in yourself. Okay, that you can do this. That alone can be hard and scary, especially if we grew up in an environment where we were told you're not good enough, or one of the bazillion things that, you can be told as a child that make you feel less than. So now we're having to work on ourselves, right? To be able to step into, I'm not afraid and I can do the things. It's not as easy as just, I'm going to join a thing, a community. I'm going to do some of the training and then I'm going to just dive in and do all this stuff. It is. And I want to say to people, honor the fact that there is work to happen in between. But like you said, you have to do it. And you can wait, but I'm telling you what, that fear just grows because the longer you wait, the greater distance you have, right, from the other people that maybe started around the same time. Now you're seeing people grow, and it's inevitable because we're humans. We like compare ourselves like, oh my gosh, Keola and I started at the same time. I haven't done a deal. He's done 30 deals. Like, just do the darn thing, right? Get in. Yes, do the training. You have to. You need to understand, connect with people, build relationships, and then go do the thing. Do it. It's like Nike, just do it.
Yeah. And what I love about that, what you shared is the fact that when you join a community or you network with people who are helpers and and have that go-giver mentality, the great thing about this that I think is one of the biggest mindsets people have to get over is you don't have to do it alone, right? You don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
And like, just kind of going back to the reference of my son driving, I would never send him out in the car by himself. Like, here's the car keys, go
Right.
drive.
Good luck. I hope that video you watched was
Yeah.
helpful.
Like, don't do that, right? So why would we do that in any other facet of our life? Here
Solid
in
point.
Utah, they require you to do driver's ed in one form or fashion, right? And so in driver's ed, you have a car that is structured where the person in the passenger seat has just as much control over the car as the driver,
Yeah.
right? And so when it applies to real estate, don't just jump into deals that you have no idea about. Go find
Mhm.
a car, a vehicle that is structured for you to learn and grow in the journey with somebody who is an expert that can
Right.
help you. You don't have to do it alone.
Right. I love that you brought that up. I was on a Zoom yesterday talking about my Mount Everest, which is supporting 1,000 people with affordable housing through co-living. And I was talking to Pace about this on the Zoom, and I said, look, here's the thing, guys. When I first had that goal, well, originally it was much smaller, and Pace taught me to think bigger. But I got really scared because if you do the numbers, right, there's on average 7 people in a home. Okay, so divide that by 1,000. I think it's 143. That means I need 143 co-living homes to meet that goal. That petrified me. I would wake up in the middle of the night in sweats thinking about 143. I don't want 143 homes. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. As soon as I found the right partners, that fear went away because I knew that I could bring to that partnership the qualities that I have to support that growth. And I didn't have to do it all. My other partners bring this strength, the other partner brings that strength. And together, we're a really solid team. But without them, I couldn't see how I could get there alone. And wasn't even just this being scared, it was just the logistics of how in the world can I do that? So exactly. It's all
Well,
about partnerships.
oh, absolutely. What I love about what you just shared too, right, in regards to taking action is, it's kind of like, I share this with others that in life we're given a flashlight and we turn on our flashlight and all we see is maybe the 3 feet, 5 feet in front of us,
It's a good
right?
one.
But you don't know what's further ahead on that journey until you take those 1, 2, 3 steps. And as you take 3 steps, all of a sudden your light shows more and your light shows more. And as you walk down this road with your little flashlight taking action, all of a sudden you see a light ahead of you. And that person, like you finding the right partner, they've already walked your journey. And they can turn back to you and say, hey, just be aware, go left over here. Your light might not catch it, but let me help guide you until you catch up with them. Right. And
Yep.
now you're on a journey with 2 people holding their flashlight and you can see little bit more, a wider view of what you're looking at. But you can't get there
Wow.
until you're taking those first few steps with your little flashlight
That's right.
5 feet ahead of you. Take those steps.
That's a really great analogy. I might steal that from you.
It's all
I
yours.
like that a lot. Thank you. I love that. I mean, I love that we're talking about this because I would say once I started recognizing the power of partnerships, it all clicked, and all the things that, so you and I are, and I want you to talk about this before we have to wrap up. But we also are lenders. And man, in the beginning, that was very scary to think about that on my own. As soon as I got a partner, it was just amazing because it wasn't one person. I could underwrite and vet the deal, and then she would do the same, and we'd, kind of check in, and it's like, oh wow, we learned so much from each other. And then you go into it feeling a little bit more confident.
Right.
So Keola and I, guys, I apologize. We chit-chatted way too much before we started. So we've got about like 10 minutes left before we have to wrap up today. So there's two things I want to make sure we touch on. One, I do want you to talk about what you're doing today. And then before we totally wrap up, I would love for you to share with people maybe one or two things that you do every day in your personal routine that have helped you grow as a person and a business owner.
Absolutely. I'll do that.
Oh, how they can collaborate with you.
Okay. Absolutely. So today I focus mainly
Uh-oh,
on,
we froze again. Darn it. I'm really sorry if that's on my end. That could
it's
be.
okay.
Oh, there you are.
There
Okay,
you
you're
go. Okay.
back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to chat about that, Tracy. So right now I focus mainly on transactional lending, right? I provide quick, reliable, easy to access funds for EMD, double close, or mortgage method deals.
Wow.
But I wasn't always in that space, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
right? I pivoted there just over the last 60 days.
Love it.
When I first joined the community, like you shared, it was PML deals left and right. I found the right partners. I found the right people that could help me look at deals, feel
Yep.
a bit more educated in the process, and take some risk and start lending. And I just started taking deals down left and right. Like within the first year with people, I
Yeah.
took down about 12 deals just lending, lend.
I remember when we first met and I was like, dang, this guy's a hustler. I love him. I got to get to know him. So cool. Yeah, you do it.
And so I was just doing it, right? I was like, okay, I'm gonna follow the lead of people. I'm gonna take action. I'm gonna do the thing, learn through driving. And I did. And there was a point right at the end of summer of last year where I had majority of my deals come back successfully, but I had a few that were concerns that went pending, that went longer than I liked. And a few that were like, okay, what's gonna happen to these deals? And at that point, like you look at where we were at as a nation in October, okay, we're gonna go into November, where we're going to be changing the regime of everything going on in the US. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's time to vote, time to pick the
Right. We
leader.
didn't know what things would look like.
I didn't know where that was at. It was closing the year. What was the new year going to bring? Like, all these concerns started to come across my plate. And I was thinking about it. That I thought to myself, okay, I've got these deals out. Here's what happened. I've got these other deals still out and pending. Do I want to continue to live in this space, or do I want to try something different?
Yeah.
And when I first joined Gator, I joined Gator with intent and the thought that I'm going to do a lot of EMDs.
Yeah.
But when I entered the space, it wasn't as readily available.
Right.
And PML deals, right? Short-term lending deals was everywhere. So I just started taking the low-hanging fruit.
Yep. 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 Same thing I did. I think a lot of us do the same
Yeah.
thing. Right. Yeah. I did the same thing.
And so at that point, I was like, okay, that's always going to be there. But how do I start getting more involved in actually transactional lending and what a lot of people refer to as escrow protected lending?
Yes.
Right? And so I said, hey, I'm going to pivot. I'm still going to do PML deals behind the scenes, but I'm going to pivot and say, okay, this is what I wanted to do when I first entered. I'm going to put all of my eggs here, all of my
Yeah.
focus here, and start really promoting it. And
Yeah.
this was right at the, I would say, end of November, December.
Okay.
Right. And
Love.
so I've been a part of the community for about a year and a half in real estate. In the year and a half, I might have done 2 deals total in EMD, two
Yeah.
deals total.
Yeah.
But once I made this pivot, once I
Right.
started marketing from December till now, we're starting March, I've had over 15 deals submitted to me, and I've closed on about
Oh,
4 of them in
love
EMD
that.
space, right? And so it was all because, I like to tell people that humans are simple creatures by nature. Where we look, we walk. Right? We
Yes.
don't really move places that our eyes aren't looking, right? So whatever our focus on is what we do. And
Yeah.
so I just felt like for me, I needed to focus on transactional lending. And because I have been, this is what I'm doing.
I love that you say this because it's so easy. There's so much to do in real estate. whether you're lending or you're buying, there's flipping, there's Burr, there's this, there's Airbnb, there's all the things. And I was like you, I was in Gator and I was doing lending and I do some transactional funding and I did lending for a year and a half. That's like all that I did. And I decided to pivot and I still do lend, but I wanted to pivot and get into the co-living space. But even in that, I'm still doing a little of this and I'm doing a little of that and I'm over here and I'm over there. As soon as I said, and this is God love Pace, thank you, my friend. He one day was kind of like, "What are you doing? Like, are you co-living? Like, can we finally say that that's what you're doing?" And as soon as I said, "Yes, I want to be known for somebody that is an expert in this space, and I want to put all my eggs in this basket." And what I don't know, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to become an expert educator on co-living. As soon as I said it, as soon as I did it, and that was my main focus, it's like blown up. And it's just testament to, yes, you have to try some things and it's okay to pivot, but then you've got to pick a thing and you just have to dive in 100%, at least for 3, 6 months, and really dive in there before you kind of pivot. You can't pivot all the time or you're never going to land somewhere. But yeah, I love that you said that. Okay. Anything else on transactional lending you want to touch on before I ask you to dive into personal stuff?
No, I think the one thing I would share that a mentor of mine said to me a while back that is good for everybody who's in this space. I'm like, what should I do? Am I doing the right thing? He
Yeah.
said basically fail fast.
Yes.
Fail fast, right? And it's not about failing and giving up. It's failing so you know and learn from what you just did to get better on the next
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Right? So the faster you fail, the faster you can step forward to do the thing that's going to actually bring you the results you want. So fail
Yeah.
fast. Don't be afraid to fail fast.
That's solid. Yeah. It's all you're gonna have a lot of failure, a lot of things that don't work out, but if you can learn from it and grow from it, it's a win.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fantastic because that does lead us to you have this amazing mindset. It's something I love about you. You're so positive. You can always put a positive spin on things. What is at least one thing that is a part of your daily routine that you just cannot live without because you know it drives your mental growth and which in turn drives your business?
Yeah, I would say that I always create a space for myself in the mornings, first thing, to find time to give gratitude, right? Like my father always said, an attitude of gratitude will increase your altitude.
Oh, I've not heard the last part. I've heard
Yeah.
attitude, have an attitude of gratitude, but wow, that's right.
And, and so for me, like I just take space every single day and even at night that just allows me to think through what are all the things I'm grateful for. And I'm not there to say I'm grateful for this because of I'm prideful of it or oh, look at me, I'm so blessed. It's like, man, I'm
Point
so grateful that I am breathing today.
for real. My heart is beating.
I'm so grateful that I've got a wife that puts up with me.
That's
I'm
great.
so grateful, like, man, all these things. And the more that I focus on the things I'm grateful for, even when times aren't good, right? Even when we may have gotten in a fight,
Yep,
even when my kids aren't listening, which is every single day, I still have this attitude of I'm so grateful for my son because of this. And so I
that's
try
right.
to associate a reason I'm grateful for that and not just say, yeah, I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my home. I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for my oldest son because of these things that he does for me. And I'm thankful for my middle son. And I just go through this mental kind of gratitude session that
Yes,
allows me to, like, there's no reason not to smile. Like, man, I've got all these things and
right.
man, how can I not smile and be happy about it?
Yeah. I love that you just, yep. I realize as you're saying this, I'm like, dang, I'm doing good with all my guests on keeping it 100 because every single one at some point talks about the importance of gratitude and not just being like, oh, I'm so grateful, like you said, out of that pridey thing, but and I always add the because, right? I really want to be so intentional, like why, right? I say every morning and every night, and I'm always the breath and the heart beating. And because it allows me to do these things and because it allows me I'm grateful for my strength because it allows me to, you know, go to the gym, which gives me the energy to do the things and be flexible. I'm a little bit older than you, and I have an 18-year-old, and I recognize if I don't really keep moving and being grateful for all those little things, how do you keep up with your kids? Don't know that I would be where I'm at in my life today. It's how I've moved through so many hard times in my life. And it seems kind of crazy, I think, sometimes that you could have just a really hard thing happen and find gratitude, right? We lost our home in a wildfire.
Mhm.
People would say to me, I was an educator and a community leader in the area, and I couldn't fall apart. Like I couldn't. I had kids. 90% of my students lost their home. I could not show up every day a wreck, right? I had to show up for them. And people would go, how are you doing it? Right. And I go, I found things to be grateful for, right? Like I was grateful I had some money in the bank so I could go buy an RV to live in. When so many people didn't have that, how could I not be grateful for that? Right.
Right.
So even in the midst of pure suffering and pain and turmoil, you can find a place of gratitude. So
I think it's so vital, so important, right, Tracy, to your point, and just that's where like I always think about the phrase my father said: "An attitude of gratitude will increase your altitude."
I love that. I love that. I got so many little phrases out of this today. I was taking notes. Oh gosh, again, people watching, Keola is amazing, and I'm sorry I stole probably 10 minutes of its time from you. But we'll have you back on because I'm excited to hear more as your transactional lending journey goes and just kind of see where you're at. We could talk a little bit about your Mount Everest, which is a 5-year goal. We're all working on an owners club. Um, but again, thank you for taking the time to be on Keeping It 100 today. And I really hope for those that are listening that we really inspired you today. I hope Kayla's story inspired you. I hope just seeing how somebody just took that leap of faith to do what was right for his family, and you did the thing. So big shout out to you for sharing your story. Again, thank you for sharing your strategies and your tools. Everyone knows you can find me at Tracy Koa on social media. How would you like people to connect with you?
Yeah, good question. The best place is on Instagram at Keola_Keola.
I love that. Perfect. And what is it that you're looking for that people could bring your way?
Uh, I'm a huge believer in people over profit, so I love connections. Just bring your connections. Let's chat. Let's get to know each other.
I love that. And I always ask people at the end of the episode, take a minute and just reflect on the episode and try to find, one or two things that resonate with you in your own life and maybe, a favorite takeaway. And then share that with us. Connect with Keola and I. Obviously, we love chit-chatting. We love connecting with people. So reach out to us. Tell us about our story and how it hopefully inspired you. And of course, please subscribe and spread the word about Keeping It 100. Don't forget to join us next time, where I'm going to bring another empowering guest with an empowering conversation designed to uplift, motivate you, and help you unlock your full potential. So keep on believing in yourself, people. Keep on showing up for yourself. And I will see you on the next episode of Keeping It 100.